The moment Maya Russo saw the man in the tailored charcoal suit standing near the VIP section at the indie concert venue, she knew he was out of place, though she couldn't have guessed just how much her life was about to change. She had come alone to the small downtown venue called the Echo Room, a place where exposed brick walls met string lights, and where musicians who believed in their craft more than their fame came to play. Maya loved it here. As a middle school art teacher, she didn't have money for fancy entertainment, but she saved up for these concerts because live music made her feel alive in a way nothing else could. Tonight, a folk rock band called Whisper Canyon was performing, and she'd been counting down the days. The venue was packed, bodies pressed together in the general admission area, everyone swaying to the opening act. Maya clutched her worn leather jacket closer as she navigated through the crowd, trying to get a better view of the stage. That's when she accidentally bumped into him. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," she said, steadying herself against his arm. The fabric of his suit was impossibly soft under her fingertips. He turned, and Maya found herself looking into the most striking green eyes she'd ever seen. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair that looked professionally styled but was beginning to come undone in the heat of the crowded venue. His jawline was sharp, defined, the kind that belonged in cologne advertisements. But it was his smile that caught her off guard, warm and genuine, crinkling the corners of those green eyes. "Don't worry about it," he said, his voice a deep rumble that somehow carried over the music. "Crowded in here." "Yeah, sold-out show," Maya replied, then felt immediately stupid for stating the obvious. "I mean, they're really good. Whisper Canyon. Have you seen them before?" "First time," he admitted. "A friend recommended them, said I needed to get out more." He glanced around the venue with what looked like genuine curiosity mixed with slight uncertainty. Before Maya could respond, the main act took the stage, and the crowd erupted in cheers. The opening guitar riff of their most popular song filled the air, and Maya felt that familiar thrill run through her. She turned toward the stage, forgetting about the handsome stranger for a moment as she lost herself in the music. But she was acutely aware of his presence beside her. He didn't move away into the crowd. Instead, he stayed right there, and when she glanced over during the second song, she caught him watching her instead of the band. "What?" she asked, self-conscious. "You really love this," he observed. "The way you react to the music." "It's nice to see someone so passionate about something." Maya felt her cheeks warm. "Music is everything to me. Well, art and music. I teach art to middle schoolers, but music is what fuels me outside of work." "That sounds incredible. Teaching, I mean. What do you do?" Maya asked, having to lean closer to be heard over the music. She caught a hint of his cologne, something expensive and cedar-scented. "I'm in real estate development," he said, which Maya thought was probably the most boring answer possible, though he said it with a slight grimace as if he knew it. "Exciting," she teased. He laughed, a real laugh that made his whole face change. "Not really, but it pays the bills." They fell into a comfortable silence, both turning back to the concert. But as the night went on, Maya found herself increasingly distracted by him. During a slower song, when the crowd settled down and swayed gently, he leaned down and said, "I'm Wesley, by the way, Wesley Jenkins. Maya Russo." "Maya," he repeated, like he was testing how it felt to say her name. "Would you think I was crazy if I asked you to get coffee with me after this? Or dinner? Or anything that involves continuing this conversation?" Maya's heart kicked against her ribs. She'd been asked out before, but never like this. Never by someone who looked like they'd stepped out of a business magazine, and never at a concert where she'd come alone specifically to avoid the complications of dating. "I don't know you," she said carefully. "That's kind of the point of dinner," Wesley replied, and there was something boyish and hopeful in his expression that made him seem less intimidating. Look, I know this is forward, but I haven't had a genuine conversation with someone in months, and you bumped into me and apologized like you'd committed a crime, and then your whole face lit up when the band started playing, and I just thought maybe we could talk more. Maya bit her lip, considering. Every reasonable part of her brain said this was a bad idea, meeting a stranger, going somewhere with him. But something about Wesley felt safe. Maybe it was the vulnerability in his voice, or the way he'd stayed beside her all night without being creepy or possessive. "There's a diner 2 blocks from here," she said finally. "Best pancakes in the city, even at 11 at night." Wesley's smile was brilliant. Pancakes sound perfect. They stayed for the rest of the concert, but now there was an energy between them, an anticipation. When Whisper Canyon played their final encore, a hauntingly beautiful song about finding home in unexpected places, Wesley's hand brushed against Maya's, and she didn't pull away. The diner was called Mel's, a retro-style place with red vinyl booths and a jukebox that actually worked. Maya slid into her favorite booth by the window, and Wesley sat across from her, looking completely out of place in his expensive suit surrounded by truck drivers and college students. "So you come here often?" Wesley asked after they'd ordered, a playful glint in his eye at the cliché line. "At least once a week," Maya admitted. "I live about 6 blocks away. Small apartment, walls so thin I can hear my neighbor's TV, but it's mine, you know, and this place feels like home." "I get that," Wesley said. "Sometimes it's not about the size or the price tag. It's about how a place makes you feel." Their coffee arrived, and Maya wrapped her hands around the warm mug. "So, real estate development, what does that actually mean? Like you flip houses or build strip malls?" Wesley shifted, looking uncomfortable. "It's more large-scale than that. Commercial properties, residential complexes, mixed-use developments. My company handles projects from acquisition to construction to leasing." "Your company," Maya caught the phrasing. "I started it about 8 years ago," Wesley admitted. "Right out of business school. It's grown significantly since then." Something in his tone made Maya pause. How significantly? Wesley met her eyes. "I don't usually talk about this on first dates." "This is a date, isn't it?" he challenged. Maya felt a flutter in her chest. "I guess it is." "And you're avoiding the question." "Let's just say I've been fortunate, very fortunate. The business does well and I've made smart investments." Wesley leaned forward. "But can we talk about something else? Everyone always wants to know about the money and the business, and for once, I'd just like to talk about music and art and what makes someone's face light up like yours did tonight." There was something raw in his voice, a loneliness that Maya recognized because she'd felt it herself. So she let it go, and instead told him about her students, about the kid who had discovered he could express his anxiety through painting, about the girl who had created an entire portfolio of charcoal drawings that captured the beauty in everyday objects. Wesley listened with genuine interest, asking questions, laughing at her stories. He told her about growing up in Seattle, about his father who had been a carpenter and taught him to appreciate craftsmanship, about losing both his parents in a car accident when he was 23 and throwing himself into work to cope. "I think I forgot how to just be a person somewhere along the way," Wesley said quietly, spinning his coffee mug between his hands. "Everything became about the next deal, the next property, the next investment. My friends are all business associates. I can't remember the last time I did something just because it sounded fun." "Is that why you came to the concert tonight?" "My assistant, Jennifer, has been worried about me. She bought me the ticket and basically threatened to quit if I didn't go, said I was becoming a robot." He smiled sadly. "She might have been right." Maya reached across the table and touched his hand. Well, I'm glad she did, and I'm glad you stayed when I crashed into you. Wesley turned his hand over, lacing his fingers through hers. Me too. They talked until 2 in the morning, until the waitress politely informed them that the diner was closing. Wesley insisted on walking Maya home, and she let him, enjoying the quiet of the city streets at night and the warmth of his presence beside her. At her apartment building, an old brownstone that had seen better days, Wesley paused. Can I see you again? Tomorrow? Or is that too soon? Tomorrow's Saturday, Maya said. I usually spend the morning at the farmer's market and then paint in the park if the weather's nice. Can I come with you? Maya studied his face, looking for signs that he was just being polite, but all she saw was genuine hope. You want to go to the farmer's market and watch me paint? I want to spend time with you, Wesley corrected. The farmer's market and painting just happened to be part of the package. Okay, Maya agreed, warmth spreading through her chest. Meet me here at 9. I'll be here at 8:50. He was there at 8:45, holding 2 travel mugs of what turned out to be excellent coffee and wearing jeans, and a simple navy blue Henley that made him look younger, more relaxed. Maya had dressed in her usual weekend attire, paint-stained jeans, a soft gray sweater, and canvas sneakers. She'd worried all morning that last night had been a fluke, that in the daylight Wesley would realize she was just an ordinary art teacher with student loans and a modest life. But the way his face brightened when she came downstairs erased those doubts. The farmer's market was in full swing, vendors selling everything from fresh produce to handmade jewelry. Maya navigated through the stalls with practiced ease, selecting vegetables for the week and stopping to admire a display of locally made pottery. You have an eye for this, Wesley observed, watching as she examined a ceramic bowl, running her fingers over the glaze. Occupational hazard, Maya replied. I can't help but analyze the craftsmanship. This is beautiful work. See how the glaze pools here in the carved lines. That's really difficult to achieve. She chatted with the potter, a woman named Susan who had a studio in the arts district. Wesley stood back, watching the interaction with a small smile. When Maya reluctantly put the bowl down, citing her budget, Wesley caught the potter's eye and gave a slight nod. Maya didn't notice. They bought fresh bread and cheese and fruit, and Wesley carried all the bags without complaint. In the park, Maya found her favorite spot under an old oak tree that overlooked a small pond. She spread out her portable easel and canvas while Wesley arranged their impromptu picnic on the grass. What are you painting today? He asked, breaking off a piece of bread. I'm not sure yet. I usually just start and see what happens. Maya mixed colors on her palette, losing herself in the familiar ritual. It's different from teaching. When I'm teaching, I have to have a plan, objectives, outcomes. But when I paint for myself, it's just about the feeling. Wesley watched her work, content to sit in silence. Maya had expected him to get bored, to check his phone constantly, or make excuses to leave. But he seemed genuinely happy to be there, occasionally asking questions about her technique, or pointing out a duck on the pond that made her laugh. Hours passed like minutes. Maya's painting evolved into an abstract piece, swirls of blue and green and gold that captured the feeling of the park rather than its literal appearance. When she finally stepped back to assess it, she found Wesley had moved closer, studying the canvas with real interest. It's how the place feels, he said softly. Not how it looks, the piece of it. Exactly. Maya was surprised and pleased that he understood. Most people expect paintings to be realistic. Most people don't really see things, Wesley countered. He turned to look at her, and the intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. Maya, I need to tell you something. Her stomach dropped. Here it was, whatever complication she'd been waiting for. He was married. He was moving away. He'd lost interest. "Okay," she said carefully. "When I said my business does well, I undersold it. Jenkins Development Corporation is one of the largest private real estate firms in the state. I'm worth about $40 million. He said it quickly, like ripping off a bandage. "I didn't tell you last night because people treat me differently when they know. They either want something from me or they decide I'm some kind of villain because I have money. But I don't want that with you. I want this," he gestured between them, "whatever this is. But I also don't want to lie to you." Maya sat down on the grass, processing. $40 million. That wasn't just wealthy. That was a completely different universe from her own life. "Say something," Wesley said, and she could hear the vulnerability in his voice. "I'm thinking," Maya replied. She looked at him, really looked at him, trying to reconcile this information with the man who had carried her groceries and spent the morning watching her paint. "Does it change who you are?" "The money, I'd like to think it doesn't. But honestly, I don't know. It's been part of my life for so long now." "Do you think I want your money?" "No," Wesley said immediately. "God, no. That's why I wanted to tell you. Because you clearly don't care about it, and that's so rare and so refreshing. And I didn't want you to find out from someone else and think I'd been deceiving you." Maya nodded slowly. "I appreciate that. But Wesley, we're from completely different worlds. I'm an art teacher who saves up for concert tickets and buys clearance groceries. You probably have people who do that stuff for you." "I do have a housekeeper and a personal assistant," Wesley admitted. "But Maya, those are just circumstances. They don't define who we are as people. Last night was the first time in years I've felt like myself. Not Wesley Jenkins, the CEO, just Wesley. The guy who likes music and interesting conversations and coffee at diners." "This is crazy," Maya said, but she was smiling slightly. "I met you 12 hours ago. I know. And if this is too much, too fast, I understand. But I really like you, Maya. I'd like to keep seeing you if you're willing to give this a chance." Maya thought about the easy conversation, the way he looked at her like she was fascinating, the gentleness in his hands when he'd helped her set up her easel. Money was just money. It didn't change the connection she felt. "Okay," she said. "But I pay for my own coffee and we split the check at dinner, and you don't buy me expensive things." Wesley's laugh was relieved and joyful. "Deal. Though I reserve the right to occasionally buy you concert tickets. I can accept those terms." They spent the rest of the afternoon in the park, and when the sun started to set, Wesley walked her home again. At her door, he hesitated, then leaned down and kissed her gently, a soft press of lips that promised more but didn't demand it. "Tomorrow?" he asked. "I have papers to grade." "But Monday?" "Monday I have meetings all day. Tuesday works." They began seeing each other 3 or 4 times a week, fitting into each other's lives in unexpected ways. Wesley started attending concerts with Maya, discovering a love for live music he'd forgotten he had. Maya let Wesley show her parts of his world, fancy restaurants where the waiters knew him by name, art gallery openings where she could discuss technique with established artists. 2 months in, Wesley invited her to his house for the first time. Maya had been nervous, expecting some cold modern mansion, but Wesley's home surprised her. It was a renovated craftsman-style house in a quiet neighborhood, with warm wood floors and built-in bookshelves and windows that let in floods of natural light. "My dad would have loved this place," Wesley said, showing her the exposed beams in the living room. "He taught me to appreciate good carpentry. I bought this house because it reminded me of him." Maya walked through the rooms, touching the thoughtful details. There were books everywhere, an eclectic mix of business texts and fiction and art history. The kitchen was clearly used, not just for show. And in the study, She found a framed photograph of a couple she assumed were his parents, both smiling broadly. "They look happy," Maya said softly. Wesley came to stand beside her. They were completely in love even after 30 years of marriage. "That's what I want someday. What they had." He looked at Maya as he said it, and she felt the weight of his meaning. This wasn't casual for him. It wasn't casual for her either, she realized. Somewhere in the past 2 months, Wesley Jenkins had become essential to her life. "I'm falling in love with you," Wesley said, turning to face her fully. "I know it's soon, and I know we come from different places, but Maya, you've brought color back into my world. Everything was gray before you, and now it's vibrant again." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I'm falling in love with you too. It terrifies me because I never expected this. I never expected you." Wesley pulled her close, kissing her with more passion than before, and Maya melted into him, feeling safe and cherished and completely overwhelmed in the best possible way. Their relationship deepened after that. Maya spent weekends at Wesley's house, turning his spare bedroom into a studio where she could paint. Wesley surprised her by having it professionally set up with the best supplies, and when she protested, he reminded her that this wasn't about showing off his wealth. It was about supporting her art. He came to her school's art show, where her students' work was displayed, and he talked to each kid seriously about their pieces, asking questions and offering genuine praise. Maya watched him crouch down to talk to Tommy, a quiet 7th grader who struggled with confidence, and saw Tommy's face light up when Wesley told him his sculpture showed real talent. "You're good with kids," Maya said later. "They're honest," Wesley replied. "They don't care that I have money or a company. They just care that I'm interested in what they made. You'd make a good father someday." Wesley stopped walking, turning to look at her. "Is that something you want, eventually?" "Eventually," Maya confirmed, her heart racing. "Not now. But someday, with the right person." "I'm the right person," Wesley said with quiet certainty. "I don't know when you became my whole world, Maya, but you did, and I want everything with you, the future, the family, all of it." 6 months into their relationship, Wesley had to travel to San Francisco for a week of meetings. Maya missed him terribly, which scared her a little. She'd always been independent, never one of those women who lost themselves in relationships. But Wesley had become her best friend as well as her boyfriend, and the apartment felt empty without him texting her random thoughts or showing up with takeout after her long teaching days. On the 3rd night, Wesley video called her at midnight his time, 3 in the morning hers. "Did I wake you?" he asked when she answered, hair messy and eyes sleepy. "Yeah, but it's okay. Is everything all right?" "I missed your voice," Wesley said simply. "I've been in back-to-back meetings for 12 hours, and all I could think about was that I wanted to tell you about them, wanted to hear about your day." Maya smiled, propping herself up on pillows. "Tell me now." They talked for an hour about nothing and everything. Wesley told her about a potential development deal that excited him because it included affordable housing units and community spaces. Maya told him about the lesson plan she was developing about abstract expressionism. It was mundane and ordinary and perfect. "I'm going to marry you someday," Wesley said as they were saying goodbye. "Just so you know. When the time is right, I'm going to ask you to be my wife, and I really hope you'll say yes." Maya's breath caught. "Wesley, you don't have to respond. I just wanted you to know. You're it for me, Maya Russo. You're everything." After he hung up, Maya lay in the darkness, her heart so full it ached. She'd never believed in soulmates or fate or love at first sight. But she believed in Wesley, in the life they were building together, in the way he looked at her like she hung the moon. When Wesley came home, Maya was waiting at the airport. She ran to him when he came through arrivals, and he caught her, lifting her off her feet and burying his face in her hair. "I love you," Maya said against his neck. "And yes." Wesley pulled back, confused. "Yes, what?" "Yes to someday. Yes to marriage and future and everything. I know you haven't technically asked yet, but I'm saying yes anyway because I can't imagine my life without you in it." Right there in the airport, with hundreds of strangers walking past, Wesley kissed her deeply, thoroughly, like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, there were tears on both their faces. "I have a ring," Wesley confessed. "I bought it a month ago. I've been carrying it around, waiting for the perfect moment." "This is the perfect moment," Maya said. "Right now. Ask me." Wesley set her down gently, then reached into his carry-on bag. He pulled out a small velvet box, then dropped to one knee right there in the middle of SeaTac Airport. "Maya Russo, you crashed into me at a concert and changed my entire life. You taught me how to see beauty again, how to feel things again, how to be a person and not just a businessman. You're my best friend, my inspiration, my home. Will you marry me?" Maya pulled him to his feet before he could open the box. "Yes. Absolutely yes." The ring was perfect, a sapphire surrounded by small diamonds, unique and colorful just like their relationship. Wesley slid it onto her finger with shaking hands, then kissed her again while nearby travelers applauded. They decided on a small wedding, just close friends and family, 6 months later. Maya's parents flew in from Ohio, warm and down-to-earth people who had been initially skeptical of Wesley, but were won over by how clearly he adored their daughter. Wesley's extended family, cousins and aunts and uncles he distanced himself from after his parents died, came back into his life, grateful to be included again. The ceremony was held in the backyard of Wesley's house, now their house, under the old oak trees strung with lights. Maya wore a simple lace dress and carried wildflowers. Wesley cried when he saw her walking down the makeshift aisle, and she cried too, overwhelmed by the joy of it all. Jennifer, Wesley's assistant who had bought that first concert ticket, gave a toast at the reception. "I've worked for Wesley for 5 years, and I watched him become someone I barely recognized. All work, no life, no joy. Then he came into the office one day after a concert and he was different, lighter. He talked about this woman he'd met, this art teacher who loved music and saw beauty everywhere, and I knew she was special. Maya, thank you for giving us back the real Wesley." Maya's best friend, Sophie, a fellow teacher, spoke too. "Maya has always been the person who sees the best in everyone, who believes in possibility and beauty and second chances. But I'd never seen her glow like she does with Wesley. They bring out the best in each other, and that's what love should be." During their first dance, to a Whisper Canyon song that had been playing the night they met, Wesley whispered, "Thank you for bumping into me." Maya laughed through happy tears. "Thank you for asking me out. Thank you for choosing me." "Every day," Wesley promised. "I'll choose you every single day for the rest of our lives." They honeymooned in Italy. 2 weeks of art museums and good food and lazy mornings in bed. Wesley indulged Maya's desire to visit every gallery and church with famous frescoes, and Maya indulged Wesley's need to sometimes just sit in a piazza and watch people, decompressing from years of constant motion. In Florence, they stood together in front of Botticelli's Birth of Venus, and Maya explained the symbolism and technique, while Wesley held her hand and marveled that this brilliant, passionate woman had chosen to spend her life with him. "I want to do more with the company," Wesley said that evening over dinner. "More projects like the San Francisco development, mixed-income housing, community centers, spaces that bring people together. I've spent years just chasing profits, but I want to build things that matter." I think that's wonderful, Maya encouraged. You have the resources to make a real difference. We have the resources, Wesley corrected. This is our life now together. I want your input on the community spaces, your artistic eye on the designs. Partner with me, Maya squeezed his hand. Partners in everything. When they returned home, they began building their life in earnest. Wesley restructured his company to focus on socially responsible development. Maya continued teaching but also started a nonprofit arts program for underprivileged kids, funded by Wesley but run by her vision and passion. A year into their marriage, Maya found out she was pregnant. She'd been feeling tired and nauseous for weeks, blaming it on stress from the school year ending and her nonprofit's first big fundraiser. But when she took the test and saw the positive result, joy flooded through her. She told Wesley that night in his study, where he was reviewing plans for a new affordable housing complex. She simply walked in and placed the positive pregnancy test on top of his blueprints. Wesley stared at it for a long moment, then looked up at her with wonder in his eyes. "Are you serious?" "I'm pregnant," Maya confirmed, and then she was in his arms, both of them laughing and crying at once. "We're having a baby," Wesley kept saying like he couldn't quite believe it. "We're going to be parents." "Are you happy?" Maya asked, suddenly nervous. Happy doesn't even begin to cover it. Wesley cradled her face in his hands. "You've given me everything, Maya. A real life, a purpose beyond making money, and now this. I'm the luckiest man alive." The pregnancy was smooth, and Wesley was attentive to the point of being comical. He read every parenting book he could find, baby-proofed the house months before necessary, and talked to Maya's growing belly every night, telling their daughter, they found out it was a girl, about the world she was coming into. They turned the guest bedroom next to Maya's studio into a nursery, painting it soft yellow and filling it with handmade toys and art supplies for when she was older. Maya painted a mural on one wall, a whimsical forest scene with friendly animals, and Wesley hung wooden shelves his father had made years ago, wanting to pass down that connection. Their daughter, Grace Jennifer Jenkins, named for the grace they'd found in each other and the woman who had inadvertently brought them together, was born on a snowy February morning. She had Wesley's green eyes and Maya's dark curls, and when the nurse placed her in Maya's arms, Maya understood love in a completely new way. Wesley sat beside them on the hospital bed, one arm around Maya and one hand gently touching Grace's tiny fingers, and he was crying unabashedly. "She's perfect," he whispered. "You're both perfect." Those first months were exhausting and beautiful. They took turns with night feedings, Wesley proving to be surprisingly adept at soothing Grace back to sleep. Maya nursed and painted and taught online classes for a semester to be home more. Wesley cut back his hours at the office, refusing to miss these precious early days. When Grace was 6 months old, they took her to a Whisper Canyon concert. The band had grown more popular, now playing larger venues, but they remembered Wesley and Maya, having heard through mutual friends about their engagement and wedding. After the show, the lead singer, a woman named Kara, came to talk to them. "So you're the couple," she said with a warm smile. "The ones who met at our concert. Wesley's assistant Jennifer told me the story." "We are," Maya confirmed, holding Grace against her shoulder. "Your music brought us together." "That's what music is supposed to do," Kara said. "Connect people, make them feel things." "I'm glad we could be part of your story." They took a photo together, Maya and Wesley and baby Grace with the band, and Kara posted it on social media with the caption, "This is why we make music, to bring people together, to create moments that change lives." The post went viral, and suddenly everyone wanted to know their story. News outlets reached out, magazines asked for interviews. Wesley and Maya declined most of them, wanting to keep their family private. But they did one interview with a local lifestyle magazine, figuring they could use the platform to talk about Maya's arts nonprofit and Wesley's affordable housing initiatives. The article, titled "Love in the Key of Life," featured beautiful photos of their family and told their story from that first meeting to the present. It ended with a quote from Wesley. "I went to that concert because my assistant forced me to. I was lost, drowning in work, disconnected from anything real. Then Maya bumped into me and apologized like it was the end of the world, and everything changed. She taught me to see beauty again, to value connection and art and music and all the things that make life worth living. We built this life together, note by note, moment by moment. That's what real love is." Maya's quote was simpler but no less heartfelt. "I never believed in fate until I met Wesley, but some connections are too perfect to be random. We found each other at exactly the right moment when we both needed something real, and we built something beautiful together. That's the power of love and music combined." Grace grew into a bright, curious toddler who loved music as much as her parents. Maya and Wesley took her to concerts appropriate for children, to art museums, to the parks where Maya used to paint. Wesley made sure that despite their wealth, Grace understood the value of things, the importance of kindness and generosity. On their 5th wedding anniversary, they returned to the Echo Room where they'd met. The venue had been renovated but kept its essential character. Whisper Canyon was performing again, a special intimate show for longtime fans. Maya and Wesley stood in almost the exact spot where she'd bumped into him 5 years earlier, Grace between them holding both their hands. "You ever think about how different life would be if Jennifer hadn't forced me to come that night?" Wesley asked during a quiet moment between songs. "All the time," Maya admitted, "but I think we would have found each other somehow. Some connections are just meant to be." Wesley kissed her temple. "I love you. Thank you for crashing into me. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for this life." "I love you too," Maya said. "Every single day, I love you more." Grace tugged on their hands, wanting to dance to the music, and they laughed and lifted her between them, swinging her gently to the rhythm. Around them, other couples swayed and sang along, and Maya thought about how music had this incredible power to bring people together, to create moments of connection in a disconnected world. After the concert, they went to Mel's diner, which had become a tradition. Grace ate pancakes and got syrup everywhere, and they laughed and talked about everything and nothing, just like they had on that first night. 2 years later, they welcomed a son, Lucas William Jenkins, who had Maya's artistic temperament and Wesley's business mind even as a baby. Their family was complete, their life full of love and laughter and music always playing in the background. Wesley's company became known for its innovative, community-focused developments. Maya's nonprofit expanded to serve thousands of kids across the state. They built a life that mattered, that made a difference, while never losing sight of what was truly important: each other and their family. On their 10th anniversary, Wesley took Maya back to Italy, just the two of them while Wesley's cousin watched the kids. In Florence, standing in the same piazza where they'd talked about building a life that mattered, Wesley took both her hands. 10 years ago, I was sleepwalking through life. I had everything money could buy and nothing that mattered. Then you appeared, this beautiful force of nature who saw art in everything, who loved music with her whole heart, who taught me how to live again." His voice was thick with emotion. "You're still teaching me, every single day, how to be a better man, a better father, a better human. I love you more now than I did when I asked you to marry me in that airport, and I'll love you even more tomorrow." Maya was crying, happy tears streaming down her face. "You gave me a fairy tale, Wesley, Not because of the money or the big house or any of that, but because you see me, really see me, and you love me for exactly who I am. You support my dreams and celebrate my passions and make me feel like the most important person in the world. You're my best friend, my partner, my home. These 10 years have been the best of my life, and I can't wait for all the years to come. They kissed as the sun set over Florence, two people who had found each other in a crowded concert venue and built a love story for the ages. Back home, they threw a big anniversary party in their backyard, the same place where they'd gotten married. Jennifer was there with her new husband, taking credit for the whole relationship. Maya's parents and Wesley's extended family mingled with friends from both their worlds. Grace and Lucas ran around with other kids, their laughter filling the air. Whisper Canyon performed, a surprise Wesley had arranged. They played all the songs from that first night, and Maya and Wesley danced together under the string lights, surrounded by everyone they loved. "This is everything," Maya whispered against Wesley's chest. "This life we built, our family, our friends, our purpose, everything." "And it all started with a concert and a collision," Wesley mused. "The best accident of my life." "The best decision of mine," Maya countered. "Saying yes to coffee. Saying yes to you." As the night wore on and their children fell asleep on blankets spread on the grass, as their friends and family celebrated around them, Maya and Wesley held each other close and knew they were exactly where they were meant to be. The music had brought them together that first night, but it was love, patience, and commitment that had carried them through. They had built something real and lasting, something that would endure. And every day, for the rest of their lives, they would choose each other again. That was their happily ever after. Not perfect, but perfectly theirs, written in the language of love and underscored by the music that had brought them together in the first place.